say, but nothing comes out when they poke their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish. And most bitches act like they forgot about trade.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, we are presented by Progressive Insurance. Boys, Sixers looked like they had this series no problem. When it started, it's like an even series. Then, pardon us. They're going to roll Toronto. Uh-oh. No, maybe not. Maybe they're not going to roll Toronto. Hey, wait. Hasn't Doc lost a lot of series leads? Doc Rivers, 76ers head coach, at press conference on his struggles maintaining leads in series. Listen to Doc.
Well, it's easy to use me as an example, but I wish y'all would tell the whole story with me, all right? My Orlando team is the HC. No one gives me credit for getting up against the Pistons who won the title. That was an HC. Go look at I want you to go back and look at that roster. I dare you to go back and look at that roster, and you would say, what a hell of a coaching job. Really. I mean, the Clipper team that we lost 3-1. Chris Paul didn't play in the first 2 games and was playing on one leg. And we didn't have home court. And then the last one, to me, is the one we blew. That's the one I said, we blew that. Now, it was in the bubble, and anything can happen in the bubble. There's no home court. Game 7 would have been in L.A., you know. But it just happened. So I would say with me, some of them is I got to do better always. I always take my own responsibility. And then some of it is circumstances happen. You know, this one, let's win it, and we don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, Jay, he's making good points in the sense that it's not the whole story, but I think a lot of people feel like, yeah, Doc, you're a top 15 all-time coach, supposedly. A lot of the part of the story you want told has been told, and now people are focusing on the part of the story where you lost 7 of your last 8 with an opportunity to close out a series. Your 31 losses in those games, closeout games, because, you know, you could, if you're up 3-1, you have 3 chances to close it out. You lose all 3. He had 31 chances in those games. It's already the most by a coach in NBA history. He's the only coach to ever blow 3 3-1 series leads. So, he's right. It's not the whole story, but it's becoming a bigger and bigger part of the story.
Look, I love Doc Rivers as a person, and I think he is a good coach. But honestly, he makes good points, but nobody cares. Nobody cares. We are people that live in a world, what have you done for me lately, correct? And if I look at what Doc Rivers has done for me lately, he lost a 3-1 lead, right, with the Clippers. You saw a picture on the bench, him, Ty Lue, Sam Cassell. It's not like he didn't have a good staff, right? You saw Kawhi Leonard, Paul George literally not back him, Steve Ballmer have him removed from the Clipper organization. He goes to Philadelphia, and then, I mean, think about what we saw there. We saw they were up 18 points in Game 4 against the Hawks. They had a 26-point lead in the third quarter in Game 5 against the Hawks, and they squandered that series as well. So what have you done for me lately, Doc? You haven't done anything for me. And you have a 3-0 lead against Toronto, and Fred VanVleet is not even playing, and you're going back to Toronto for Game 6 where you're a 1.5-point favorite, which pretty much means that's a pick'em on the, yes, things are getting tight. We are going to ask you these type of questions. So I hear you trying to defend yourself, but just go out and win the damn games. You go out and win the damn games, everything will take care of itself.
Yeah, I don't know why he felt the need to have to defend himself. I mean, he knows exactly what transpired and took place in those 3-1 collapse games that he had. I think what's happening, though, is he feels that pressure and he sees it coming because he has rabbit ears. He listens to sports talk radio, I'm sure. People are telling him. He picks up the Philadelphia newspapers. He sees headlines, but he also remembers those 3-1 collapses. And now, all of a sudden, Toronto done got a game on you, and now it looked different. Now you feel, these people in Philadelphia are getting ready to run me out of here, so I need to answer and try to figure out how to remind them that I have had bad teams and I was able to coach good. But quite frankly, in Orlando, they were the 8th seed, but the team wasn't awful. I mean, Tracy McGrady was on that team. And I believe Tracy McGrady was still at the height of his career at that particular time. So much like you say, Jay, just win, man. Just win the game. Don't even worry about it. Just win it. Win the game. That's all you got to do.
I gotta say, I'm a Doc Rivers fan. I
Yes.
like the cut of his jib, like from back since when he was a point guard with the Knicks, right? I'm just a Doc Rivers fan. There's something I don't want to use the word that I'm thinking of, right? There's something I'll say to me, it makes me sad when I hear him defending himself like this because he sounds like a guy who thinks the series is already lost. To me, you're defending yourself as a coach. If you like what you guys are saying, like what Key just said, if you're gonna just keep playing, win the series, why are you dressing your coaching abilities simply because people are pointing out in the media that you've had a bunch of collapses up in series? It feels to me like oh, here it comes again. I have to start explaining myself. And it makes me sad as a fan of his. It's like, to me, it's like a not coming from a position of strength.
Doc sound like he's about to cry. I don't mean to laugh.
Yeah.
But
It kind of sounds like somebody who you feel like is getting close to the end.
yes.
Like, it really does. And I hate to say that for Doc, but Key, like, think about for as good as Philly was, and then we're seeing kind of like this downward trend to a degree. We've had Joel Embiid point fingers at other people. He has the thumb injury. We have James Harden, who feels like he's a shell of himself from what he was before. Even though he's averaging 18 and 9, he's shooting 37% from the field. You need him tonight due to Joel's injury to take over, but you're wondering whether he could take over. And then you got Doc on a national scene trying to defend his resume. Who's focused on the game? Who's focused on the game tonight?
That's what I'm saying, guys. It sounds like when Key said it sounds like look, the word I want to use I can't use because
What was the
I
word?
guess
Now
I'm
I'm
being-
Because you're a
Well,
little too empathetic.
Yes, I'm a little too
Yes. What was the word?
pathetic.
Now I wanna know
I'm
the
being a
word.
little too
I want to know the word. You said this twice now.
I'm being a little too pathetic.
Oh, got it.
To use the word I want to use. Pathetic to use the word I want to use.
Yes.
You understand what I'm
Got
saying?
it. Yes.
I feel exactly like he said, like it feels like he's choking up almost. It feels like
it certainly, if you go back and listen to the start of the clip, it sounds like he's about to cry. I'm like, oh, man, don't do this to me. Don't start crying, trying to defend yourself as a coach when you know you're a good coach and you've gotten situations. You won a championship with the Big Three. You are a good coach. That's why every single time you're available, somebody grabs you and makes you their head coach because they know you're a good coach. You just got to finish the deal.
Key, just listen to the tone of his voice off the jump. Listen to it.
Well, it's easy to use me as an example, but I wish y'all would tell the whole story with me, all right? My Orlando team is the HC. No one gives me credit for getting up against the Pistons who won the title. That was an HC. Go look at I want you to go back and look at that roster.
Key, you know when you get caught for something and you say, well, what had happened was, what had happened was fine. Like, let me just go back into this deep bag and start explaining to you the details of all this stuff that really nobody really remembers because people remember what's happened recently.
by the way, it wasn't a great roster.
No one gives me credit. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
Key, it wasn't a great
Top
roster,
15
Jay.
greatest coach of all time.
Jay,
He's got named at
too
this
late
All-Star
now.
break.
We went back and looked because he said go back and look at the roster. And I didn't remember it as a good team. And it wasn't a deep, good roster. He did have Tracy McGrady in his prime. I mean, that's a pretty good player, right? He was an MVP caliber player at the time. Like, it's not like, and you should be able to get to the 8th seed and, but the fact is still, it's a lot of collapses, man.
No, it feels, like I said before, it feels like he can feel something, but whatever that something is, he's got to do a better job at coaching his way out of it and not giving us this, nobody's giving me credit, and sort of kind of feeling like, nobody's giving me credit, and I just, poor me, I had the bad team in Orlando, and so, it's just that just doesn't sound right, Jay, so to speak.
Key, man, Max, how many closeout scenarios did you say? 31?
Well, because if you're up 3-1, you have 3 shots to close it out. So he's lost, in 10 series if you collapse 3-1. Not he.
Yeah, you
8
do the
series.
math, Jay.
31. 31 times he could close out a series.
So I have it, Key. Let's
And
go through
lost.
it. 2009, Celtics versus Magic, they were up 3-2, lost it. 2010, Celtics versus Lakers, up 3-2 in the NBA Finals, lost it. 2012, Celtics versus Heat, up 3-2, lost it. 2015, Clippers versus Rockets, up 3-1. We talked about that. 2016, Clippers versus Portland, up 2-0, lost that. And then 2020.
Ain't that the trip how they put the numbers together to make it sound a certain way?
I mean, first of all, you got to be a good coach to be up in those series in the first place. Like, let's tell the whole story, like he says. So to be fair to Doc, you're an excellent coach because you were up in all those series. On the other hand, part of the whole story is the teams did collapse.
I guess it poses a question too, Key. Like, you're a great coach, but are you a great coach under pressure? Under pressure.
Are they going to win tonight, Jay?
I don't think they win tonight. I don't see a resolve. Alan Yates and I were talking about this before the show started. Did you see this video of them like throwing the football, joking around?
Hey, nobody want to see that, yo. Nobody
No,
want to
that's
see
fine.
that at all,
No,
It's
yo.
wild. You're
No,
like,
that's
yo,
fine.
You're
yo.
throwing in that joint, yo.
But
Come
Key,
on,
I know
man.
everybody's
Where the
having funny.
basketball at?
You gotta relax. You chilling. There's no, you take
Nah,
your
bro.
mind off the negative. You that's what you do. You know, guys. When I was a player, when I was stressed out before a game or whatever, I isolate myself. I might go walk around the town. I remember I drove from San Diego. We had an off day. I drove from San Diego all the way up to Santa Barbara just to get away for about 4 hours. Okay, just to get away because that's